Sancho to score. No mistakes this time.
That is a rocket.
Royce and another fantastic goal by Marco Royce. Haaland's volley is beautiful beyond compare.
Jetzt kommt das Wunder von Dortmund. Foulspiel von Inzo an Götze.
Needs to lay it off. We're going to shot away. Oh, what a goal!
Anyway, Borussia Dortmund have defeated Wolfsburg 2-1 in what can only be described as a performance. So let's start with the positives. We always do housekeeping, so squad additions. These guys aren't transfers. They've been with the squad. Well, some of them were transfers many moons ago. But signing from about 2 years ago, Mathis Albert makes the squad for the first time, coming over from LA Galaxy's academy. Samuel Inacio, coming over from one of the most prestigious academies over the last 15 years in Italy, at Atalanta. He makes the squad for the first time. But the least known academy player, someone I'm obviously familiar with, who joined from Sassuolo 2 winters ago, but didn't join until the start of last season was when he actually fully joined the club. But U17 Italian international center back Luca Reggiani, and his haircut, which is not great, did make it onto the pitch for his debut, so I feel like that's exciting. Should we start there?
I think so. I mean, in all fairness, I suppose it was more of a time-wasting kind of sub, and Dortmund certainly needed to waste just a few more seconds to get over the edge, but hey, that is considered a cap for the senior squad, and I mean, that's got to feel good. So really, really happy to see. I mean, happy to see all three of those guys on the bench, but happy to see one of them at least get a minute or so, or 15 seconds.
Yeah, so it was like 2 years ago, we were talking about how the guys making the bench that are like the unknowns are coming over from like the second team, and they have no real future with the first team. And then last year we were like, well, Watkins there, but you know, like a lot of the other guys that you were seeing, especially in that match, coincidentally against Wolfsburg, when we had a similar issue where a bunch of starting players were injured and we had to bring in all these guys. It was like Yannick Loers, who's now like 22, 23, who's playing in the third tier of German football still with Hoffenheim's second team. You had Paulina, who came over from the Netherlands as a 19-year-old. He was like 20 at the time. He's now playing in the second tier with Dusseldorf. But like you had all these guys who weren't really academy players, who were at about 19-20 when you'd like to be seeing them playing in like, I'd say the top 2 flights of football somewhere, or like a top league that's a little bit weaker on loan. Like guys without any real first team prospects. And in this one, you have 3 guys. You have a 16-year-old, and I think it's 2 guys that are like 17, maybe barely 18. I think Reggiani's still 17. Oh, no, he turned 18 in January, so it's his age 17 season. This is also Inacio's age 17 season, but I believe he also... Oh, no, he's turning 18 next month. So these guys all have, like, actual first-team potential, and I think that's nice to see. Like, people have talked for years about Dortmund getting back to the point of having that academy success. And you talk about depth in the academy because you take these 3 guys out. You've promoted guys like Nick Czerny and a few other players who played for the second team. Against Wuppertal, I believe they won 2-0. And then you had the U19s won, despite missing all these players. So we drew Wuppertal with the U23s. But the U19s still managed to beat Holstein Kiel. U19s without a ton of U19 talent. So I think that's good.
Yeah, me too. And I mean, we like you mentioned, it's been kind of disappointing seeing like Rotha and Kjell Vatjen go to different clubs. And then I also consider some of the recent youth talent that has kind of flopped, and I mean, I'm thinking of like Yusufa Moukoko, who, I mean, had that very bright start to his Dortmund career, was breaking records in the youth divisions, um, and then he just never really made a huge impact in the first team. I think of Paris Brunner, who had high expectations, and that kind of fizzled out. I mean, Cole Campbell is another recent one that I mean, I think at the beginning of the season, we all would have said we were hoping he was going to break into the first team and really make an impact, and now he's gone too. So it is nice to see these guys make the bench and see that within the academy there at least is some semblance of development because we really could use a youth player to break onto the scene. And I just don't feel like Dortmund has really had one of those in a bit too long. So we'll see what happens. Of course, we didn't sign anybody in January and let a few players go, and that might be the catalyst for allowing a few of these guys at least to get some minutes. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we'll see a ton of Reggiani playing like real minutes this season, but it's still promising because like you talk about a guy like Watson, who's played the most football while contracted to the club of anyone really, aside from Tom Rotta in the last couple of years, and even then he got like the two full 90s at the end of a bad year in the Bundesliga. So I think that you're starting to see more guys get close to the first team, and going directly as teenagers into the German top flight. And even if that's not for Bruce Dortmund, that just means the club is getting closer and closer to finding some top level talent. So I think that's pretty exciting. But let's talk about the actual match. Dortmund dominated the possession, and I think like I kind of want to start there because tactically, I feel like this team, when they have more of the ball, they get exposed in a lot of negative ways.
I think so, and I mean, we've seen some pretty good pressing from the squad in the last couple of matches, but with that domination of possession, it's almost like there's too much focus on maintaining the possession and not enough focus on creating chances. Because there were a few too many times that in this match I felt that Wolfsburg had the ball on our side and we either intercepted or broke up their attack only to really slow things down to our own pace when we might have had a couple guys running. And I think that is a little bit different than the situations when it's a quick ball from a long ball from Kobel or like a quick ball to Schlotterbeck and then a long ball up, hoping that Girassi or Brandt can catch it. I'm thinking more the midfield with like Mecha and Job slowing play down a little bit. And I mean, I think there is something to be said for maintaining possession and keeping control. But in a few instances in this one, I felt like we could have made an attack when instead we chose to hold possession, which then delays the play, which then allowed several of Wolfsburg's defenders to get back. And when we were really pressuring the attack a lot of times, Wolfsburg was committing men back. And I mean, they were just throwing guys in front of the ball. We had 21 shots. And I mean, I think that in front of me, I have four of them were on target. And I mean, some were not on target whatsoever, but I think there were quite a few that were probably blocked in that match. So yeah, I'm rambling at this point, Eli.
Yeah,
I'm gonna pass it
so
over to you.
the shot locations aren't terrible, but like so many of them are just like there's just not a lot of open play ones. Like a lot
Hmm.
of the shots are coming off corners. Um and it really just breaks down to we're walking the ball into the final third. The center backs are super pushed up. We look to get the ball into a central area. Oh, it's immediately out to the fullback, and we're crossing it in, and they're clearing. And I really, for one, do not mind seeing Mohamed Amura chase the ball into space in our end because I feel like he lost a lot of duels with our center backs, and he's much more dangerous running into space. Like once Wolfsburg are essentially up in our half and the game's still kind of in transition and he's not on the ball, like that's when I get scared. So like when you do get your center backs up and he has to run 1v1 against like a center back 50 yards from goal, like that's when you see him essentially get on the ball, slowing up and looking to do something else because he can't really run with the ball at pace. But overall, it's just Dortmund could not create a chance from a central area for much of the game. And then when they finally do create a chance from central area, is it from a player in the starting 11, Joey, or is it a guy that gets brought off the bench?
I mean, I guess were both goals from open play? No, the first one
No.
was a corner to
Yeah.
Brandt. But yeah, Sergio Girassi, and that is, I think, one of
Well,
my biggest
the
takeaways.
assist came from a
That
player
was
off the bench.
that was from Fabio Silva, I
Yeah,
believe.
and then Garasi did score it. But my
He
point is
did.
more with the starting 11, there wasn't any like Julian Brandt can do this. We know Julian Brandt can do it.
Hmm.
We've watched it for about 5-6 years. But the chance creation from the center of the pitch has been bad, and this is where like Joe Bellingham, Felix Nemecha as your double pivot, it's not good because like it's a good double pivot against the ball, sure, certainly, but against these weaker teams, neither of these guys can create a chance from a central area, and that's more of like a concern. Because like this is the like people have criticized a lot of Dortmund performances because they aren't as dominant as they want them, but they were still like good. Like against Hoffenheim, Dortmund won the game on XG by a tiny little bit, but they scored in the first half and were leading basically the entire game. So people are like, "Oh, Dortmund, we're not good in that game." Dortmund did more than enough to win, but in this match, you don't necessarily like. Burn does score in the first half, I guess, but you know you concede so soon after that you expect a good team to win this game on XG. But because Dortmund dominated the ball, they couldn't create chances in central areas. They just didn't create chances at all, and so it's like crossing inshallah, and not very exciting to watch.
I mean, a couple takeaways I have from this one. I mean, first, in the first half, we really should have found a second goal somehow. And I think, like you said, a lot of that comes down to poor chance creation. But what is, I think, bothersome to me about a lot of our high possession is that we put so much pressure on Wolfsburg in that first half, and we just didn't have that much to show for it. I mean, Brandt had a fantastic header off of I think Rierson's corner, but like if we go into halftime and the scoreline's 2-0, it's a very different dynamic moving forward, and it's much more comfortable when we come out into the second half. And like we were capable of doing that, but the chance creation wasn't coming from the level of pressure, or it would be a wild shot from outside of the box, and um, it 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 just felt like it was lacking some of that creativity, maybe a little bit of cohesion up front, but um, yeah, it's I don't know. I think that was one issue, and the other, which is less an issue and more of actually something I'm happy about, a positive takeaway. It's that Sergio Girassi scored from open play again. I think that, I mean, maybe he has gotten a bit of confidence back after his double last weekend. Um, you know, not really that concerned with the PKs at this point. I don't think Girassi should take them, but if he's scoring from open play, then that's a huge boon for Dortmund because I do think, through much of the season, Girassi being out of form has been one of our biggest weaknesses. So if he's even like back remotely to firing the way that he was last season, then I think he could be that insurance policy that Kovac was talking about several months ago. So yeah, just happy to see him scoring again.
Well, in recent weeks, he's gotten on the end of some big chances and not been able to convert them from open play. in this match he does take 3 shots, which is positive, but it's for a combined 0.18 xg. Like, that's not necessarily a sustainable goal a game type player. That's not even a sustainable, like, that's 1 in 5 type stuff. And obviously, like, this is a worse match from Dortmund in a chance creation perspective. Part of that blame should go to Guirassy not getting on the end of these crosses. Like, that's supposed to be a skill he has. But I'm still not seeing a sustainable path to providing the level of production that you would necessitate. And like I said, when he comes out of the break, he'll look better. He has. But now as we've played more matches and he's starting to play in all of them again, because there was like 1 or 2 games out of the break where he was benched. As soon as he's gone back to playing 3 times a week, this is not good enough. Granted, this week we only have 1 match, but the Champions League knockouts are going to be coming up soon, and he's not a player that has shown an ability to perform 3 times a week, and I'm not seeing anything that is saying this will change.
Can't disagree with you on that. Yeah.
That's enough on that, because he scored the winner in this match. I'm very grateful for that. But I'm here to talk a little bit about what we can project out over the course of the season, and I'm not seeing necessarily a ton of positives. But Nico Schlotterbeck, after this game, on his statement regarding the title, stated, "Of course, I'm the captain at the moment because Emre is out. When I set the course, the team has to follow. I live by my beliefs. You also play for BVB to achieve something. Does the team's performance lend itself to the idea of achieving something this season? What needs to change for this club to become more of a competitor this season in particular?" Great questions, Joey. Can you answer them?
Yeah, so I mean, I have a slight hunch here in Nico Schlotterbeck's demeanor that he is kind of playing at being captain right now. And I mean, yes, Emre Can is out, and I think we all expect that should Nico Schlotterbeck sign a new contract, he will likely be given the captain's armband. It seems to be what the players want, or what the fans want. I think that the players would probably be in favor of that. And I mean, he seems like leadership material. And I've been complaining recently about sort of a lack of identity at Dortmund. And I think Schlotterbeck is trying to create that. And if he makes these statements about these confident statements about wanting to challenge for the Bundesliga title, it, watching how the team responds to that, does the team back him? Do we continue this good run of form in the league? And how much of that has to do with a player like Schlotterbeck making the intentions known that, yes, we're going to challenge for something. I'm not at BVB to do nothing. And, you know, whether we actually make a challenge for the title or not feels a little bit irrelevant, because I don't necessarily think there's a real possibility of us overcoming Bayern Munich at this point. Even with, you know, them dropping some points and us picking up points, that's a long shot. But if we finish this season in a strong way, I mean, if we make the intent known that like this is a club that, like the end of last season, can go on a hot streak, can string together multiple wins in a row, um, a club that can potentially secure a longer term contract for a player like Nico Schlotterbeck, then maybe we could make a challenge for something next season. But I mean, I gotta love the guy, and I hope, like, of any current player on the squad, Nico Schlotterbeck is the person who should be here, who should be leading. And yeah, I can only hope that he's here next season with a flashy new contract and an armband to match.
Yeah, I feel like Dortmund is not playing well enough to achieve something. Like, prior to this game, I would have said, like, if they play like this for the rest of the season, and Bayern get a little sloppy, and you beat Bayern, then you can get lucky and win the league. But you perform this badly against Wolfsburg at home, it leads me to believe what's most obvious will occur. And before, I'm talking about if they dominated this game, I'd still say it was an outside shout. But when you play poorly, it's even more of an outside shout. There is a path for Dortmund to win it, and I think it would very much look like Bayern advancing in the Champions League to at least the semifinal, to get those extra matches in, and Dortmund losing to Atalanta because, like I just said, one of your most important players can't play 3 times a week. Best way to do that is get knocked out of the Champions League. That's not fun, but I do not believe this team can compete on multiple fronts. I just don't. I don't believe it at all. I'll put it that way.
I agree with you, and I talked about it a little bit last week, not feeling like we really have the depth to be able to compete in multiple competitions right now, and I do feel like in some ways that's deliberate because we let players go, and whether we like it or not, the Sebastian Kiel and company chose not to sign anybody, and some of that could have to do with the fact that there weren't a lot of great options. They didn't want to end up with another awkward loan spell from Chelsea. Maybe need to do a bit more diligence to make over the squad more this summer. But um, yeah,
I don't think that the players in the positions we sold them will really have that big an effect on it, if that makes sense, because
it,
we let Pascal Gross go. That's the big name, and then we lost Anselmino.
mhm.
Anselmino definitely hurts more, but I don't think our ceiling is any lower with Sula. The floor is lower because he's less likely to be available. But even then, Anselmino wasn't always available.
It's
Um,
more the lack of depth because I also think I would rather
I
take like Pascal Gross over Sali Ozchan, and now
yeah, I
Ozchan's getting a few more minutes, but you're right. I don't think it'll make a huge difference in the course of the season.
yeah. I mean, I think if Pascal Gross were playing Champions League knockout minutes, or if he's playing meaningful minutes in the league, I'd have a concern either way. But I think my point is more that we may have depth in numbers in attack, but when you're talking about Julian Brandt and Sarah Guirassy, I do not like those guys together on the pitch against good teams because of the lack of pressing. I also do not like either of those guys starting matches 3 times a week.
Times, yeah.
Even twice, then you need to be subbing them. Um, so those are my bigger concerns. Is your number one and number two goal threat this season can't play 3 times a week, and that's troubling. But let's move into our star of the week because I think one of those guys may be named here. Joey, do you have a star of the week?
I do have a star of a week, and I'm giving it to Julian Brandt because I just thought his performance overall was really solid. I think he's been one of the more consistent players last couple weeks, and that was a really impressive header. The angle he got on that to knock it into the near post, and yeah, so hats off to Brandt this week. How about you?
I'm gonna have to go with Joe Bellingham. I'm gonna have to do it. I don't feel I have a choice. The creativity is not there. The shooting not there. But you know what is there, Joey? Just consistently good decisions. Accurate passing, 88% overall. It's a little sideways. There's room for improvement for sure, but he's making some forward passes. You're not really seeing a lot of passes anywhere in the midfield. He's getting more press resistant, and overall, I'm just consistently impressed. He did have some nice carries in this match, going up the pitch. And defensively, he is an absolute workhorse. He's in good positions. He wins his duels. there's not really a lot else you can say there. I feel like he's a guy that does the right thing, and that's what you want out of your midfielders. I would say. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it.
I think that's a great shout. Really been impressed with Job's improvement since the turn of the new year.
Yeah, and if you look at pass maps, he has one giveaway, like one missed pass in our half. Um,
Yeah, he had a rocket of a shot on target at one point too. I think the keeper got it,
yeah,
but
yeah, he had two shots. He put one on target, and it was very unlikely for him to score from that position. So,
worth a
but
try
yeah,
though. Catch the keeper off guard maybe.
yeah, he missed one pass, and it was basically by the halfway line. Nemecha misplaced one pass in his own half, but it was like on the edge of our box. Not good there. Um, and the defensive numbers for Nemecha, let's see. Am I just biased? Also worse. So I feel justified. Um, but let's get negative. Who is your dud of the week?
Ooh. My dud of the week is someone I have rarely chosen for this, but it's happening today. He's my star of personality, but my dud of the week is actually Nico Schlotterbeck, and that is because I guess a couple reasons. I mean, one, it was his handball that led to the foul outside of the box was pretty dumb. The one that created the free kick that led to the goal. And he lost his marker on that goal too. I think a bit of a lapse in concentration after the foul he committed. And I mean, Maxi Arnold is a pain in the ass when it comes to free kicks. I mean, he's dangerous any way you look at it. Um, so in some ways, I give Schlotterbeck my dud because I'm like, all right, dude, you are my captain. I believe in you. Like, man, you can't make a big statement about how we want to make a title charge and then be the reason that we drop points in this match. Uh, so other than that, like other than that, I don't know, 45-second instance, I do think Schlotterbeck had a good game. But because of those couple of errors, I'm giving him my dud this week. But like I
And
said, star in personality.
and he's also going to miss the match against Mainz due to
That
yellow
too.
card accumulation. Although you would
However,
probably prefer Mainz to
yep,
be missed than some of the matches we
yep,
have coming up.
I did consider
Um,
that.
my dud of the week. I'm going with two people. I'm going with the wingbacks. I'm taking them both. Julian Ryerson against the ball in this match, suboptimal. Won 3 of 8 duels, 3 of 7 duels, something like that. He gets the assist on the corner kick, but he had about 55,000 chances to cross the ball into the area. The service was all over the place. A lot of the set piece connections he did have were in very poor areas, very low likelihood of scoring efforts. Daniel Svensson, I could say the same things about basically. Maybe this is a system issue in part defensively because neither of them excelled in this match, but the crossing was really bad, and that's something they should both be doing because they've been asked to do a lot of it this year. But yeah, so that'll be my dud of the week, and let's move on. We have Sebastian Kale talking about the Nico Schlotterbeck contract talks, saying, I am a fan of clarity in all areas. Sometimes you have to be patient, sometimes you make your own decisions, and in other situations, you are dependent on the other side. We are stepping on the accelerator. Nico knows that we want a decision as soon as possible. And I don't want to think about it, so I'm not going to talk about this really. I'm going to let it all fall on your shoulders, Joey.
I mean, I'm gonna say the same thing I think I said a few days ago, or a few days ago, a few minutes ago. Sorry, I'm tired. Where I think Nico's kind of testing the waters right now of what it would be like to be captain, and I think he personally is probably trying to figure out, is this a place that I'm gonna have a chance of winning silverware at? And do I want to be the leader of this team? And I think a lot of that is going to come down to how the board and how the other players respond. So if we keep winning, I think that very much supports a Nico Schlotterbeck extension. When we have our sporting director saying, or basically downplaying the statements, I think that works against a Schlotterbeck extension. But we'll see. I mean, I think they're reporting that they're going to offer him a pretty handsome salary. Um, but yeah, I'd like some clarity too. I mean, I want to celebrate Nico Schlotterbeck staying with us indefinitely, so to speak. Um, I want to celebrate that extension. I want to know that he's going to be here next year and hopefully the year after that. Um, so I'd like that decision as soon as possible too. I think that's all I
Yeah,
got on that.
last time I got a new job was when we re-signed um when we extended Koval and Gittins, and I think there was one other player we extended around that time. So I'm just saying, if anyone wants to give me a job, like that basically means we're gonna extend 2 or 3 players. So let's talk about another player that's on contract negotiations, and that's Julian Brandt. We are talking to each other, he says, but there's nothing new. No agreement and no decision either. The contract is expiring. A concrete offer has been on the table since mid November. Nevertheless, the dice have not yet fallen. I'm taking a bit of time, but it won't be an issue until June or July. That's a fundamental decision. It has to be well thought out. Now, we just heard Sebastian Kale say we want a decision as soon as possible on Nico Schlotterbeck. I assume he wants one as soon as possible on Julian Brandt as well. Um, so that's not
I mean,
great for Sebastian.
I feel like this quote kind of speaks to the fact that we're gonna, at least with Brandt, we're gonna know soon. I think either that, more than likely, I think a contract extension is coming. Maybe there's a bit of negotiation that needs to happen. Brandt knows that the option to stay is there. Maybe he's seeing how he plays a little bit longer and maybe what interest is out there, but I also feel like he's pretty comfortable at Dortmund. So, um, I don't know. I'm still. I mean, I'm optimistic about Brandt and Schlotterbeck both, but I think I am more optimistic about Brandt because he's been with the club the longest at this point, and you know, a few more years, and maybe not club legend status, but maybe he will be a club legend if he's with the club for a decade. So we'll see.
A title might make the guy a legend, even if he's only a bit part player at that point.
He's got a German Cup. There's
Uh,
one.
I'm talking about a league title, Joey. I'm talking
Yeah,
about
wouldn't that be nice?
for our audio listeners. I have been given a Meisterschale by the Bundesliga. I have it in my setup. You know who hasn't been given a Meisterschale, unfortunately?
Julian Brandt.
Oh, you heard it here first, folks. I won the Bundesliga before Julian Brandt. Next up, we have another contract extension candidate, and that is debutant. And we're not talking about a Southern Ball, but a debutant nonetheless. Luca Reggiani, on his debut, Borussia Dortmund are reportedly in talks to extend him past the 2027 season. Per RN, he stated, "I'm very happy. For me, a dream has come true. I am very, very happy. Yesterday, the coach said to me, 'You are in the squad,' and today, I made my debut."
Yes, very matter of fact. He did make his debut. It was, like we mentioned earlier, less than a minute, but um, that is still a senior appearance. And when you're a young player, I think even just being part of the match day squad, being part of the warm ups, being in the locker room with the guys who are playing for the first team, I mean, I think that does a lot to, I mean, help a guy's attitude and um, maybe give him a little bit of motivation that he could be a future player for us, if not a current player even.
Yeah, he had a very big rise this year. Like last season, he was on the U17s, behind Tyler Miser, Ben Cara, and I may be forgetting one other. This season, they've kind of made the U17 spot his. He also started on the bench for Italy in the U17 World Cup, and then he worked his way into the starting 11 as the tournament progressed. So this is a guy who came into the season a little down on a lot of people's radar, and people who are watching a lot more of him than the one highlight clip I watched several years ago when we signed him. So the people at the club have clearly felt he's progressed a lot recently, but let's hear a little bit more about that from Niko Kovac. As he stated, we currently have four players for central defense. Ryerson played against Heidenheim last year and at the Club World Cup. Reggiani is now involved because he is making progress. Of course, it's too early to say that we'll take on an 18-year-old and let him start right away, but he should get a taste of being in the first team, and I need to take a look at him too. If we have to play him, then we will. These players are not at BVB for nothing. They are international players. What are your thoughts on Reggiani's role under Kovac? Obviously, we just said Schlotterbeck's is suspended. Emre Can is out with an injury. So those four players he mentioned have quickly become three. So you have Ben Sabaini, Anton, Ryerson. Are we maybe going to see some Reggiani against Mainz?
Maybe. I mean, this is a tricky one because on the one hand, we have not seen youth players get a whole lot of minutes under Kovac. Um, but on the other hand, we don't have a lot of defenders. Ryerson, yeah, he played in central defense in the Club World Cup. He can play in that position, but that's really not his preferred position, and I don't think Ryerson ever looks his best when he's played in central defense. Um, Zula frequently gets injuries. Emre Can feels like he gets injured with some frequency at this point. Um, so I think because of that lack of depth and um, injury, the cluster of injury-prone players we do have in our central defense, I think there could be a place for Reggiani or a role for him to play this season, even if it's just as a backup to, I don't know, you know what? Throw the guy on for Champions League, get him some great experience, and maybe keep somebody else fit for the Bayern match. I don't know.
Yeah.
Those are the decisions that Kovac will have to make, and if he's listening to this, I doubt he will take my advice.
Yeah, I'm not super high on Reggiani necessarily starting. I would not be opposed to sub minutes, I think, if the situation's right. But mine's like they're lower in the table. They're not a great opponent. But this is a match you should be able to start Jan Koto in. So like I guess you put him at right wing back. You put Ryerson on at center back. And if you need to make a change later on, you push Ryerson out wide, because I would have a nightmare if I even heard that Reggiani was on the pitch next to Jan Koto in a Bundesliga match, because
Oh man.
that's not the way you would want to make your first like real appearance, like where you're actually expected to play some football. Um, so bit of a concern. It's also nice to get the guy his first appearance, so he gets to, even if it's just the run out, he gets some of the nerves out. He gets to feel like he's been there before. Um, so I think that's good. Good from Kovac to do that, but I'm not I'm not convinced he will start next game, but even if he's getting like 20, 30 minutes, he is so young for a center back.
He is. Let's see. Do you
Um,
want to preview the Mines match at all?
yeah, let's talk about Mainz.
They're in 14th place right now. Looks like 5 wins, 6 draws, 10 losses, and their most recent matches are a 2-0 win over Augsburg, a 3-1 win
Both
over
penalties.
Wolfsburg. They are both penalties.
Both
3-1 over
penalties.
Wolfsburg, 2-1 against Heidenheim, 2-1 against Leipzig, 1-2 against Köln, 2-2 against Union Berlin. So they are coming off a 4-match win streak, but that is not as
For the
many
last 5.
for the last 5. But
Yeah.
4 in a row though. Oh wait, no,
No, 3 in a
17.
row.
You're right, 3 in a row.
Joey, Joey is
January 13,
counting
17.
at the same level as AI right now. Unimpressive.
Yes, that is Google's. That is the Google AI.
Wait,
Don't
was
trust
it?
the
Were you
AI.
actually? You were actually reading
No,
the AI?
I
Are
googled
we throwing it under the bus?
We are thrown under the bus. I googled Mine's form, and it popped up with the most recent 6 matches, and yeah, it does have them out of order.
Yeah.
When I compare it with footystats.com,
Ah, okay.
which verifies that I'm a human first.
Yeah, mine's their when we last had their underlying numbers, they were fairly similar to where they are in the table right now. Like they're a little unlucky, but nothing spectacular. Even if you look at their most recent match, I believe the goalkeeper for Mainz had a very good game. Scrolling down. Yeah, he saved 0.66 goals. It's Mainz. It's, I believe, a home match. If it's not, you can sue me for $0 and I will pay you that amount.
I assume it is because last week was away.
Yeah, this says home. So yeah, home match, weaker team, no excuses. Win the match.
I think so.
I don't know what to tell you. I think we're in for another 2-1.
I'm going to be slightly more optimistic, and I'm going to go with 3-0.
Whoa.
I think
3-0. Do you have any debuts in a 3-0? That's not the worst time.
No.
No debuts? 3-0,
nope.
no debuts.
3-0, no debuts. That's or it'll be a stoppage time debut, but I feel like that doesn't quite count.
It definitely counts.
I'm talking stoppage time debut.
2-1, Ignacio subbing on 90 plus 2 in a plus 4 stoppage time. For me, in a 2-1 win. Don't
fair.
gamble on that. That's not financial advice. What is financial advice? Here, you should play Bundesliga Fantasy because it's free. That's my solid financial advice for you guys. Joey, how is your team doing?
My team is not doing so hot because my team does not exist. But I heard that your team is doing quite well. I did have a team last year, and
you deleted your team.
I wouldn't say I deleted it. I just never made it for the new season.
That's embarrassing. Well, I did, and we have a lot of people who have in our league. They did clear out all the inactive users, Joey, so your account may be gone from our league. But
bye. As long as Pints of Buyers there, he represents, or I should say, they represent all of us in spirit.
It is a he. I do know Pints of Buyer, but we'll get to whether or not he placed very well this week. So in 5th we have Notorious. In 4th we have Dominica FC. In 3rd we have Yours Truly. Under team name Oso Beams, named after my dog. Or my childhood dog. Then we have Helix 0.5 FC. And for the first time, winning a match week, we do have Pints of Buyer.
Oh, look at that.
Beat me by 71 points.
I'll have a pint of beer for that.
And do we have any changes in the top 5? We do not. It's still Supercalifragilistic in the top spot. Pints of Buyer in 2nd. KKP BG in 3rd. Bissek and Bauer in 4th, and Notorious in 5th. As I am now approaching the top 10 in 12th with a great second half of the season.
Solid. Are you able to see the winner of last week? Because we did miss that on the episode.
Oh, I just closed my phone, but now we can wait 17 minutes and give those people a shout out, even though people are already turning out, and we are taking our watch time. But we're all about the fans, so here we go. Week 20, Edward DC4 took top spot. Notorious also having a good second half in 2nd. KKPBG in 3rd. Oh, tied for 2nd, excuse me. And Paolo Roberto Stats FC in 4th, with Larry Buys a Lighter, one of our top finishers from last season, in 5th.
That's a good name, too.
And if you are still somehow here and you have not already liked our podcast, rated it 5 stars, subscribed, followed, whatever it is on the platform you are choosing to watch us on, please do so, because how are you still listening? We have announced multiple weeks of Bundesliga fantasy top 5s in the Dortmund Dispatch Fantasy League. So beyond that, what are you doing here? But
leave
have
us
a good make sure you follow us and
leave
subscribe.
us your question, comments, and concerns, and we'll talk about them.
Joey, you're messing up my outro.
We're under an hour. I figured I'd throw a little extra in there. We answered a listener question last week, and actually it was a great discussion. So if you have any questions for us, leave that comment.
Yeah, we do answer pretty much every reasonable question we get asked. So yeah, have
Keep
a
it
good
PG.
one.
Jadon Sancho to score. No mistakes this time.
That is a rocket.
Royce out. Another fantastic goal by Marco Royce. Haaland's volley is beautiful beyond
Jetzt
compare.
kommt das Wunder von Dortmund. Foulspiel von Inzo an Götze.
Needs to lay it off. We're going to shot away. Oh, what a goal!